Hey, beautiful, and welcome. Today, we're gonna talk about the one thing that you can do in order to change your specific person. Because you have heard this a million times by now that you can change your specific person. You are in control. You can actually get the exact version of them that you want. Yes, you can turn any person that you currently think is stubborn and just rigid and cannot change into somebody different. You can change any specific person from being cold and distant and feeling like they don't really care that much about you because you feel like it's always you reaching out first and then the conversation dies off pretty fast after. And because they're not sending those good morning text messages reminding you of how much they love you and care for you, it makes you question whether it's one-sided, whether it's just you that have those strong feelings and feel like you have this strong connection with them and that they don't feel the same way about you. So you can turn this around and you can change that person into somebody that is constantly pursuing you, that is reaching out to you first, blowing up your phone with those sweet messages, and that want to spend their free time with you rather than with their friends or with their family members, the one that is actually prioritizing you and prioritizing building a future with you. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because there's a lot of people that I see in the online space, also some clients that have come to me that have a difficult time believing that they can change their specific person and manifest the version of their specific person that they actually want, basically manifest a different version of that same person. And why it often seems so hard to believe that this is actually possible is because this is backwards thinking, because nobody has taught us this, that we're actually in full control, that it's our own mind, our subconscious mind that is generating that version of our specific person that we see, the one that acts cold and distant, the one that doesn't really care that much about us. And we have been fed the lie that people have free will, that we are not in control of our reality, but that everything is just a coincidence and everything is just happening on its own. And not only that, for everybody that has a very logical mind like me, I feel like it's really hard to put your trust into something that you just cannot see, like something that you cannot see with your physical eyes. Because mind you, I have been doing this work on myself as well in my own relationship with my specific person, because in the beginning, when I manifested him back, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, it worked. But then this excitement didn't last long because I noticed that he was still showing up as the old version of him, the one that was distant, that was cold. And honestly, it didn't feel like he cared about me. It didn't feel like he loved me as much as I loved him. So if this is where you are right now, I completely feel for you because trust me, I have been in your shoes. And so how I see it is that when I manifested him back in, that's the moment when the real work actually began, because that's when I had the version of him standing in front of me that I did not want to experience anymore. The one that I was done with, the one that didn't give me what I wanted. And it really just brought me back into thinking of all of the experiences that I had with him right before the breakup, because now I was feeling the exact same way. I was feeling like he didn't care. I was feeling like he didn't love me. I was feeling like there was somebody else that he would choose over me, which was his friends, his family members, and of course the third party, the other woman that showed up. So trust me when I say that I know how you feel. I know exactly what you're going through right now, but I also know that there's a way out. I also know that you have the power, you hold the keys for changing your specific person and having them show up exactly the way you want them to. Because that's what I did for myself as well. I turned my specific person into somebody that was cold and distant, where I felt like I was always the one planning our dates, and I felt like he didn't care that much about me or love me so much. And because of this, I noticed that I was trying to convince him to love me by doing more, by showing up more, by being there for him non-stop, and nothing was enough. It didn't help. to then getting the version of him that I actually wanted, the one that was pursuing me, the one that was calling me first and reaching out to me, the one that showed me how much he cared for me, how much he loved me, not through words because they're empty air, but through his actions. I started feeling so cared for and so prioritized because now he was planning dates with me. He was actually moving our relationship forward. He was spending so much more time with me on the weekends and after work, and he really made me feel seen and loved. And if there were events that he had to go to, let's say to meet his friends or for some family gatherings, he invited me, which was something that was completely unheard of before. There was just so many things that changed in that man, but for now, let's just keep it to this, and I'm gonna give you some more details, some more examples of what happened in the future, because I wanna be mindful of your time here as well, and I just wanna get into the episode for today. This was just a little snippet from my life just to show you that it is possible. It is possible for you as well to experience the same change in your specific person. So what I want to talk about is we need to see our specific person in a new light in order for them to change. This episode is not only going to be for the ones that got broken up with, but they want their person back, even if their person might have said that they never want to see them again and that they don't have feelings for them anymore. But this episode is also going to be perfect for the ones that have already manifested their specific person back into their arms. Maybe you're currently in a situationship, but you want that long-lasting, healthy, committed relationship with them. Or maybe you have a relationship with them, but it doesn't feel fulfilling. There's something lacking. There's something that you would want to change. First of all, we want to take our power back and understand that we manifested that undesirable version of our person in the first place. And we manifested all of those unwanted situations. That should feel empowering because if we had the power to manifest those things, then we also have the power to change them. So if you're currently experiencing a version of your specific person that you don't want, instead of feeling discouraged, feel powerful AF because you now know that you manifested that version of them and you have the power to change that version now. Because so often I hear, yeah, I can manifest other things, but I can't manifest my specific person. I can't change their behavior. Yes, you fucking can. Because most likely your specific person was showing up completely differently in the beginning when you first got to know them. I want you to think back to the time when you first met them. How were they showing up for you? How were they treating you? Were they pursuing you more than now, reaching out more, giving you more attention, more love, more time and energy, making you feel seen and heard, making you feel like you were special? If that's the version of them that you got in the beginning, what happened? Why are you getting a different version of them right now? So realizing that you manifested that version of them, no matter if it's a behavior you want to change or a personality trait, they're showing up this way because you manifested it. So there is really no difference. The version of your specific person that you got previously in the beginning when you first got to know them, and the version of your specific person that you're currently experiencing. Yes, there may be a huge difference between these two versions, but there's no difference when it comes to you being able to change it now. So when you want to manifest a different version of someone and change how they're showing up for you, it really comes down to you first changing how you see them in your mind. So if you're currently asking yourself, how can I make my specific person conform? How can I make them change their behavior, show up in a different way, treating me properly? You have to conform before your specific person conforms. You have to change your mind about your person before they change their mind about you. And this requires a little bit of self-control or discipline because if you have a past or a history with that person, And you have previously been in a relationship with them. Maybe they hurt you, they wronged you. In order for you to change the way that they're showing up, this requires you to first start thinking past all of those experiences and all of those things that happened in the past. You know the saying, you just cannot get from there to there. It's like you just cannot get to where you want to go. You just cannot change your specific person's behavior and the way that they're showing up for you if you're still holding on to the past, if you're still replaying all of the things that they did and said over and over and over again, and you're basically holding on to the version of them in your mind that did you wrong, that hurt you. And this also applies to you if you have your specific person in front of you already, but they're just not showing up as the version of them that you want. They're just not pursuing you and prioritizing you. Your person cannot show up in a different way or be anything different than the version of them that your own mind holds on to. Yes, this is how you generate the version of your person that you see right now. They're showing up this way because of your own subconscious mind. Our own brain, our subconscious mind, is basically holding on to a mental image of every single person that we have ever come into contact with. And in the beginning of a relationship, when we don't know that other person so well yet, we might have a lot of positive expectations and assumptions that are placed upon that person, which is basically creating this mental image of who they are. So in the beginning, it's more like a blank canvas that we then start painting based on how that person is showing up for us, based on all of the interactions that we have with them. And just generally speaking, in the beginning, we normally have a more favorable, a more positive image of the other person. We're expecting them to treat us properly. We're expecting them to behave in the way that we want them to. We're expecting them to show up for us the way that we want. And so they often do. But then something happens. A few weeks, a few months, or even years down the line, this mental image that we once had of them starts changing in our mind. We start thinking that our specific person is never showing up for us, they don't really care that much, they don't prioritize us, they don't even love us. And suddenly, that is the reality that we start seeing. Where our person pulls away, they start showing up for us less and less and less. They become more distant, more cold, and we don't feel like they prioritize us at all, and that we don't have the connection with them anymore that we used to have. This is why I said that you have to change this mental image of how you see your specific person in your own mind before they actually conform. When we talk about somebody conforming, it's actually the wrong term to use because they're not conforming, they're just reflecting you. And no, this is not a conversation about self-concept. It's not about changing how you see yourself through changing your beliefs and then everybody's you pushed out and they're just gonna reflect that back to you. Yes, while self-concept and having good beliefs about yourself is important, especially when it comes to sustaining a relationship, when it comes to getting that happily ever after, that long-term commitment from your person, it's not necessarily your self-concept and your beliefs about yourself that will have your specific person show up for you differently. Like people see self-concept work as the end-all be-all, and then people come to me after working on their self-concept for 3+ months and they don't see the change in their specific person. And they feel confused because they're like, shouldn't they be reflecting me by now because everybody's you pushed out and because they're just a reflection of what's going on within myself? And that's not really how it works because you can have the best self-concept in the world. You can have worked on your beliefs, you feel loved, you feel good enough, you feel chosen, and yet you get the version of your specific person that doesn't pursue you, that doesn't prioritize you. It feels like they don't even want a future with you. And this happens because, yes, you have been doing amazing work, turning inwards, focusing on yourself, changing how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself. But you haven't changed the one thing, the mental image that your subconscious mind holds of your specific person. Because that's like the address in the GPS. You know, when you're driving somewhere that you haven't been before, and you put the address into the GPS in the car, and the navigator shows you, okay, turn left, turn right, and then you get to that address. If then when you get to that destination, you get to that place, you realize, wait, this is not the place. This cannot be the right address. What would you do in that moment? You would not blame the GPS for showing you the way. You would blame yourself because now you have the wrong address. The mental image that you have once created of your specific person, that is your address. That is the thing that you put into the GPS, and that's why you see that version of them non-stop, like constantly, no matter what you're trying to do. Because you've been doing everything else but to change this mental image. And so just like with the car example, if you don't change the address, if you don't look up another address and actually put it into the GPS system, you're always gonna go to the same place. And if you don't change the mental image that your subconscious mind holds of your person, you're always gonna see the same old version of them. And this is why I always say that self-concept isn't necessarily enough to change your specific person's behavior to have them show up differently. I will definitely create another episode on this in the future, diving into self-concept, what it is, how to change your self-concept, and also why self-concept isn't enough to change your specific person and to have them conform. The key takeaway here for you to know is just that self-concept is not enough to change your specific person, because yes, your specific person is a reflection of what is going on within you, but that doesn't mean that they're just reflecting how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself. They're actually reflecting how you see them and how you feel about them. I would even go as far as saying that it's not only about what you're thinking of them, because what you're thinking of them on a daily basis, that is just the conscious mind. And as we know, the conscious mind is not creating your reality. It's the subconscious mind. It's the thing that is beneath the surface that you cannot see that is creating your reality and generating that version of your specific person. This is why inside my programs, we don't focus on conscious level stuff. We don't do mental dieting. We don't affirm for our specific person and for the changes that we want. And we don't focus on flipping our negative thoughts into positive thoughts or even changing the story of our specific person, because this is all the conscious mind, and this is unfortunately why a lot of people in the online space get stuck. They get stuck in the cycle of constantly affirming for the changes and affirming for the best version of their specific person, and then they're keeping a mental diet and they're minding the stories that they're thinking of their specific person on a daily basis. But because that's only conscious level stuff, and the conscious mind is only responsible for creating 5% of what you see in your reality, so it is a fucking small percentage. That is why these people get stuck in this cycle of doing all of this hard work that is exhausting and tiring, if you ask me. And then they get excited because they see some glimpses of the new version of their specific person that they have been affirming for, that they have been focusing on. But the changes are never long lasting, because after a few days or a few weeks, then they're back to square one. They're back to getting the same old version of their person that they're frustrated with. And this is the difference between working with the conscious mind for only short-lived changes or working with the subconscious mind for long-lasting changes. So what we instead focus on and what we dive deep into inside the program for changing your specific person to become pursued and prioritized by them is that we change this mental image that we hold of that person through modalities that work on the subconscious mind. We're basically impressing the subconscious mind with this new version of them until that version manifests into our 3D reality. This is why I love working with the subconscious mind so much, because we really don't need to do anything else during the day once we have impressed the subconscious with this new mental image of our person. Like if your mind is currently bringing up all of those past experiences that you had with your specific person that were negative and replaying the last things that they said or did that you didn't like over and over and over again, This is not gonna happen anymore once the subconscious is impressed with this new image of your specific person, the one that pursues you, the one that prioritizes you. Because what's naturally gonna happen when we change this image on a subconscious level is that the old image is gonna die. And then, of course, your specific person is gonna start reflecting your new mental image. So if you have been trying to change the way that your specific person is showing up for you for 6+ months and you see absolutely no changes, then it's time to take an honest look and start questioning yourself and being like, okay, I think I'm delaying the process here. Maybe you're wavering in your mind, you're going back and forth between the new version of your specific person and the old version of them, maybe still arguing with the old version of them in your own mind. In that case, you really want to sign up for the program where we focus on changing your specific person. The link is down below. Because when we change this mental image in your subconscious mind, you're not gonna waver anymore. You're not gonna go back and forth in your mind about your person, and you also don't need to do any more conscious level stuff like affirming for the new version of your specific person day in and day out, changing your thoughts from negative to positive, or acting as if your specific person already has changed. So what I'm gonna leave you with here is one of the first steps to changing how your specific person shows up for you, which is getting clear on exactly how you want them to show up. I want you to grab a pen and a paper, and I want you to jot down in bullet points how you want your specific person to treat you, how you want them to behave towards you, how do you want them to show you love and affection, how do you want them to handle conflicts or arguments, how do you want them to show up for the relationship, and what is the dynamic like? What are some of the things that you expect them to do together with you? And how does it feel like to be in the relationship with them and to get this version of them that you want? Because in order to change something in our reality, which is now changing our specific person so that we get the best version of them, we need to first of all get clear on what does that version look like and feel like. Because so often we want things to change, we want things, but we're not even clear on exactly what that would look like or feel like we don't even know exactly what we want, and that is why we don't get it. Just know that you can have exactly what you want and you can get the exact version of your specific person that you've always dreamt of, even if you may never have experienced that version of them before.